A trailblazer is someone who's an innovator, someone who has a vision. They may be someone who simply saw an issue of disparities and asked the question, what can be done? How can we form coalitions to affect change? Today, I look at the pioneering work that I did in women's history, Black women's history especially. And at that time, Blacks were not recorded by scholars as having agency. So that spurred my interest to tell a story that had not been told before. I focused on creating the Black Studies Department. We wanted to do research on Buffalo's African-American community, and we were discouraged because, quote unquote, there weren't any sources. We knew that these sources existed, so we created an historical association that is still in existence. My inspiration to become an educator probably stemmed from elementary school. Teachers always ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? So I said a teacher because there were very few occupations available for women. My father was my first history professor, and he gave me a book that talked about 100 little known facts about African Americans. I found it fascinating. Political figures, explorers, scientists. So I brought it to share with my first grade class. But the response from my teacher was astounding. She told me that my book was a pack of lies, and she said Africans had never done anything. They were only slaves. So I secretly pursued history. And then as we got into the late 50s, early 60s with the civil rights movement, history became even more important. And I believed intuitively, if people knew the history, they would be open to affecting change in the lives of African Americans. There are always the stories we call the great men, the great women, but what about the masses of people? What were they doing during these critical periods in history? And they were activists, that's what they were doing. They weren't silent. The agency that they displayed is very, very important for people to know, especially young people. I want them to be able to see what the possibilities are. Sometimes it may appear to be overwhelming, and we may be in a moment right now where we're trying to figure out how we can adjust, but we can. So look at what others have done to affect change and learn from their experiences. Women were always subordinate. They didn't have a voice. So women constantly fought to have voice. And African-American women became a part of that process as well. They had to fight on many fronts, race, class, and gender. And these women are activists, and we have to recognize that they're making contributions. So it's important to tell their stories. That's why we have to look at women's history. The story is not complete if women are not included.